thing itself.
Yeah, and you fold it up like you would a lounge chair.
And it goes on the back of your truck, that car.
Yeah, or you could put it in the trunk of your car or whatever. Yeah, because I'm gonna use on my truck, I'm gonna use a carrier. And then you can push it up. And they're really inexpensive.
That's a world. I don't think he has.
You okay? You slipped a little. Are you all right? Oh, I thought you slipped. No, I just sat back down.
That's right. Who's that?
Yeah, I know. I was procrastinating. I was working on other things today.
Yeah, I know.
Not procrastinating.
Yeah, you have to take care of your.
No, he's back home.
Oh, is he? Yeah, it was. I was out there on Monday. I picked up some rolls and apple dumplings. With dumplings.
We're at Shrimp.
Yeah. And, I thought that was awful hard.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Will everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Goffel?
Here.
Ms. Lynn said she would be absent. Mr. Cherry?
There.
Mr. Clement? Present. Mr. Goffel Goldberg said he would be absent. Mr. Nemitz?
Here.
Mr. Vaca?
Present.
Mr. Malinowski?
Here.
Mr. Zunick? Mr. Antonacci? Here. Chief Carlson?
Sir.
Frank Bucker? Mr. Radko? Here.
You have all received a copy of the minutes for the meeting on 6/5/2024. What are the wishes of council?
Make a motion to approve them as read.
A second.
Is there any comments or questions?
I was absent, so I have to say.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Jerry Lewis,
Yes, sir. Am I recognized?
you are indeed.
Thank you. 14C, the Manor Park restroom. Are we talking on the old one? What's the status on the old one?
I think that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Okay, can you tell us what you're gonna talk about now, since I can ask?
Whether what we want to do with that one or a new one, the options.
Well, President Gockel, that's all you've been doing for months. We're not getting anywhere. That's why I'm asking. Are you going to fix the old one first and then go ahead and attempt to put one on the hillside?
I'm not sure, I can't answer for all of council, Jerry.
Maybe we ask questions during discussion.
No. This is your time.
Yeah, okay, well, what's going on with the restroom? Has there been any plans, engineer plans or anything?
No, we
President
haven't got
Gockel?
that far. Chuck is, when we get to that point, Chuck will go over. I'm assuming, Chuck, you had the contractor down there?
No.
Okay, so, don't know.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Anything else? Mayor's report?
Good evening, Mr. Goff. Police call activity was 179 total calls for the month of May. Manor Borough had one docketed criminal case with the magistrate. And I thought we were gonna talk about basketball hoops. I was just gonna talk about my preferred option, but I see it's not on the agenda, so. just talk about it.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you. Solicitor's report?
I have an opportunity of substituting for Chelsea Dice today, who's on vacation. The only item that I have to bring up in Chelsea's report is she has prepared an ordinance, as manager has it, to properly advertise. The purpose of the ordinance is to approve certain license agreements with residents and taxpayers who are occupying a portion of municipalities' land. And I believe that this has previously been discussed and considered. All the licenses agreements are signed in proper form and duly witnessed. So I see that item as under unfinished business. And that's really all I have to report based on Chelsea's information to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The engineer's report?
Thank you, President. The payment request from D&M on the agenda is a final payment request for the Cameron Drive Storm Sewer Project. There's one punch list item to repair the bituminous curb that they haven't got to yet. And it was my recommendation to the manager that we don't release this money until they can prove it, but don't release the check until they finish repair of the bituminous curb along our stone access drive that intersects Cameron Drive. As far as the street paving project goes, I guess they have from the Penn Township line down to the bend. That's been just opened up here, I don't know, a few minutes ago. So it seemed to turn out pretty good. Most of the people seem to be satisfied that I talked to out on the job. So I'll finish the rest of it tomorrow. That's all I have to report.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
I need to ask Mr. Antonacci a question. When you were talking about the curb still had to need repaired, is that with this contractor that did Cameron, D&M?
Yeah, he damaged the bituminous curb when he was bringing his equipment off of our road, and he was given that item to repair, and it just so happened that the repair is supposed to happen this week, right at the same time as the council meeting, so it makes sense to maybe approve the bill, basically pending, him repairing the curb.
Can we do that? If we approve this, do we have time for payment? And if he says it's not been done, we don't hand him the check, is that what you're saying?
Right.
We can do that? Okay.
Hopefully we can make that in the motion.
Yeah, but if he signs off, then he gets the check. Okay. Thank you.
Zoning officer's report? I'm sorry, Ed, was there anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Thank you. Zoning officer's report? The borough manager's report?
I have nothing that will be covered on the agenda.
Okay. You've all received a copy of the treasurer's report. What are the wishes of council?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. You've all received a copy of the tax collector's report. What are the wishes of council?
Make the motion that we accept the tax collector's report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries. Committee reports. Buildings and properties. But did Dave give you anything? Okay. Community betterment, parks and rec.
I have nothing other than what's gonna come up under 15C.
Okay. Personnel and finance.
The only thing I got is we are meeting tomorrow with the union for the road department contract.
Okay. Community outreach and communication.
Nothing there, Mr. President.
Planning and zoning.
Monday night's, meeting, with the development up, on the Penn Township line, the commercial court. They came in with their, we discussed their changes in their, what we originally approved. We gave preliminary approval. There was a couple of things that, stuck out as issues, that I think at this level need to be clarified. There are some conditions that we asked to have met, some adjustments on some drawings, and they came in under the, let me go back a little bit. From the time that we gave them preliminary approval, we did it here too. Their plan had changed and wanted to include outdoor parking of boats, RVs, that type of thing. And we moved to restrict them to a specific area only. They originally wanted it to be blanketed over the whole property, which kind of takes away the incentive to spend the money to build a building that you already have approved when it's cheaper just to park something else there. So we've given them between building and area. They're gonna have to draw that on a drawing, bring that in. We were also confused about that they came in calling it preliminary and final approval. And in final approval, there are a few key documents that say that that's what you're asking for. One is a set of plans that the heading of it is final. They didn't have that. They said they came in and met with Joe, filled out an additional application that included, at his suggestion, that they included preliminary and final, which it's not that it's totally unheard of, but occasionally if you have a simple subdivision, for example, you come and ask them for preliminary and final because it's gonna pass in preliminary, not a problem, there's usually no issues. And so we didn't have that luxury to believe that, so I think that they're gonna have to put that in writing before it comes here, because the planning commission, at their approval, you can accept it final if you want it. But again, there's been some changes since, and I asked that we get all of that done. We should be getting that in writing from Bonnie. And I think we'll reach back out to the engineer in town and get those drawings in here. I'm never gonna ask you to vote on something I haven't seen. Okay, so, you know, I have concerns about it, but it is a board, and they're good people, so trust me.
Chuck, they did send me an email, wanted to know about being on next month's council agenda.
Well, at the meeting Monday, they were saying it was gonna be here tonight.
They sent me an email saying that the planning commission told them it was gonna be on tonight's agenda, and that was the first I heard.
No. They told the planning commission it would be on tonight's agenda, and I pulled it up to see how did I miss reading tonight's agenda, that I wouldn't know that was on there. So I pulled it up on my phone and read it again. It was never on this agenda.
No, it wasn't, but the email I got from them said that the planning commission told them it would be on the agenda, so.
That's backwards.
Yeah, but, so they asked for it to be on next month's agenda.
They didn't, they asked for it to be on tonight's, and I just said that I didn't believe it's going to make it. Well, I mean, if they would, you would, let's put it this way. I think agendas should be pre-written at least 2 weeks before any meeting, so that we all have time to make sure that whatever's on that much of the agenda, let's get it worked out. And problems like this could be addressed quick and easy, and we have time to get it on there, and we're not gonna run into deadlines. Then if something needs to be changed in the last day or so, they should be the little items, nothing real big. Something like this, if it's going on anybody's agenda, it should be there 2 weeks in advance.
Well, I would expect that if something like this is going on the agenda, planning would let me know
Exactly.
to do that.
That's why no one, I mean, we never intend, I did not intend that to be any more than a preliminary approval.
Well, I guess my question is, did you guys give them a deadline to submit whatever you asked them to submit? At which point, if it was submitted by that
Well, in their mind,
deadline?
if they were coming here tonight, we should have had it by now.
No, I'm saying since they want it on July's, they asked for it to be on July's.
I'll speak to the engineer again, but I think he is aware that he should probably do that very quickly.
Okay, I didn't know if
I
you
did
guys.
tell them about, if there's something to come in front of this council, it needs to be in their hands 2 weeks ahead of time to digest it. And if they have questions, we can get them out of the way before we sit here.
So I guess my question is, when they come back in, what should I be expecting to get from them?
I would
New
say,
set-
unless
new
you
set of drawings?
hear from the chairman, I would put on the agenda. Because the minute they show up with everything they're supposed to, then he, will be able to call and say, put on next month's agenda.
But they're-
I anticipate it should be.
They're gonna drop it off at the office to me. So that's why I'm asking you, what should I be expecting to receive from them?
Well, let me say this. When the meeting opened, I began speaking after we got a few things out of the way about that. I asked the question of, you got a preliminary, when they said about final, they got a preliminary plan sitting in front of us. My question to them is simple. None of it says final on it. And everything, the changes that you made, how many sheets I have the practice, having a car, I have the full roll. How many of these sheets have changed? And do you have those sheets? And none. They should at least have a cover for it that says final. They didn't have that. So I just want them to get to the point, when you fold this up and put it in a box back there, it can't be questioned in the past that we missed anything. We want to get it right and let the guy go do his job. So if we're just looking for that confirmation about the plan, and then it is final approval, and that is what they're seeking, then I think it can come up in front of you as long as you have a couple of weeks to read the change in the plan. We gave them a space.
So
They have to redraw to say where they're only allowed to put these boats in RVs.
So they don't have to come back before planning, before the next council meeting?
No, not if they satisfy the conditions they were given.
All right. And then somebody's gonna send us the letter.
Yeah. Bond will do that.
Yeah, just so I know whenever they hand something in, it's what you,
As soon as you
Request
get
the
anything like
opinion.
that from the planning commission,
but it's not gonna be.
Tyler, Bonnie, myself, let us know right away.
I'll let you know, but you just said it's not gonna be going before planning, it's just going before council.
Yeah, but if they bring something in here, and it's not what we asked for, or something incorrect with it, and we don't see it until we walk in the door here, that'll be a difficult meeting. Because we can't guarantee you that it's been satisfied until 10 minutes before a meeting.
Okay.
I don't think, because when I get it, he's gonna get it. When the engineer gets it, he agrees, because what I did at the meeting was said, but when the members said, we wanna limit that to a certain size, they were talking number of vehicles, things like that, we came up with an area on the map. And I said, I got 2 engineers sitting here, give me a square footage, what fits in there? They drew an actual line on one of the plans and said, this area right here. So all I'm looking for is, get a sheet, and any one of those sheets, if it doesn't affect E&S, don't put it there, put it wherever they want, and show that area, show its square footage, and state right on that plan that can be reserved for, outdoor, RV and boat storage. That's all we wanted to do. You ask for it and we can give it to you. Just put it right. That's all. So, other than that, that meeting ran rather late, and Chelsea being out of town, we didn't get to finish with the zoning ordinance. But, I don't know what date she's supposed to be back.
Next week.
Next week. When she gets back and gets her feet wet again, I'll give her a yell. And, we've got to get that distributed. It's 112 pages. There's a couple of things that still need done on it that are just asked. She asked some additional questions about a couple of highlighted areas. No big deal, 10 minutes of work. But it needs distributed to the county, and you have to get one too. We have to set that advertising out. We have to get it out everywhere it's got to go. And at this point, we're done. Let's finish. You know what I mean? We got a map sitting out here saying where all our districts are. We can't tell them what they are. And if somebody comes in and applies in a zoning district, we're actually using the old one, not the new one, even though the map has changed.
Right.
So it really will be extremely confusing to anyone unless it 100% complies and the zoning didn't change. But that CBD's gone. We got a lot of residents got their houses back in residential districts. But again, our commercial district changed, but it doesn't match the old description. So that should be done here shortly. And with that, that's all I have.
Okay. Public safety and public works?
I don't believe there's anything under public works, under public safety. Just two things that I want to just mention to everybody that coming up next year will be Pennsylvania's hands-free driving law. It's one of the strictest in the nation. So basically, if you cannot be moving in your vehicle with and touch your phone, that's basically what it comes down to. You have to go off to the side of the road, put your vehicle in the park, and then use your phone. It's pretty much that simple. It's pretty crazy. They really screwed it from the beginning. They had to rewrite it. But anyway, that's coming into play next year. And then for the first 365 days after that, it will be the first 365 days will be warnings. By the way, it will be a primary traffic stop. So in other words, if they see you doing it, they can stop you for it. They don't need a speeding violation or something like that. So just kind of get used to that coming up in the future. As you know, we have some pretty excessive heat. Just to let you know that PTM on top of the hill is running a cooling station from 9 to 5 for the next several days. So if there's anybody that needs to go there, needs someplace to get cool, you can go there from 9 to 5. I talked to Red Cross. Red Cross does not have any shelters open at this time. They are not planning on any unless something changes. The other thing is, you know, still with weather a little bit, we've had some tornadoes in the area, which has been kind of unusual. Several weeks ago, we had 5 tornadoes in less than a 2-week period, which is pretty crazy for around here. And I'd like to suggest that everybody should have what they call an all-hazard radio, or they used to call it weather radio, but it's all hazard because it goes beyond just weather and stuff like that. But it's something I think that would be good to have in your house. It'll alert you to storms and stuff like that. It can also be alerted to missing people, air quality alerts, and evacuation alerts. So it's a pretty important thing to kind of have. They run about $75 on Amazon. So if there's any questions, see me about that. And I think I covered everything for now. Thank you.
All right, old business. Discussion and or deliberation and or official action on appointing a third-party code inspection and permitting service entity for both residential and non-residential activities regulated by the UCC. What are the wishes of council?
considering, I'm working on that, I don't know why we're on the agenda.
I think, I couldn't remember if we were supposed to keep it on or not, so I just left it on.
We're waiting for, bids.
Yes,
And,
we have a motion to table.
yeah, until that comes, I just have one thing before we table.
Hold on, can I get a second and then we can discuss? Okay. Comments or questions?
Who was the second?
Ted?
Table. Our request for proposals is something that, because it's already out there, we probably should at least be on the same page here, is under the scope of services, the consultant will be responsible for inspecting properties and enforcing the applicable adopted services, building codes, and property maintenance ordinance. I don't know why property maintenance is in there. We have an ordinance and a contract with the police that it is done by the police.
I thought when we had our meetings before shutdown was discussed the things that were outside the scope of the police department's expertise. Like once you finalize some of those changes as far as like property, like international property code type stuff that the police couldn't do, I think that's why that was put in there originally, that everybody wanted.
Well then,
Such as a tenant calls and they have a complaint that the landlord's not fixing ABC. Obviously, the police don't have any training or whatever to go in and say, yeah, that should be fixed, so it'd be up to the building inspector to look at it and say, yes, it's a violation of whatever article, whatever.
well, this is why we have to finish this committee, to finish how this is written, because the line that we're talking about, drawing, is grass, anything that's outside the structure itself. And if we're gonna move according to this, any property maintenance, that's gonna have to be on the structure. So when writing this, if we draw that line, it's not that difficult. We have pretty much looked at the national code, and we looked at what we have, and it's not gonna be that difficult to add some of these things into our existing ordinance. And property maintenance, we're gonna find a line, and it has to be the structure itself. Everything else the police should do.
Yeah.
You agree with all that? Because that's kind of the direction we're gonna go in the committee. If it is a structure, not structural, structure. They got a window falling out, falls down, it's gonna break on somebody, get hurt. That should be building code. So that would be in this scope of service. But high grass, hazards around the property, vehicles, garages, sheds, that still should fall under property maintenance code, please. Correct?
Unless it's a structural issue, I mean, a building issue with a garage window.
Yeah, same way, same way, that's all. Well, let's look at it this way. If you gotta get a building permit, or it falls under the UCC if it was new construction, it should fall under this scope of service. If you don't need a building permit or any kind of permit to cut your grass, get your bushes out of the street, fencing, falling over. But we have to be able to give the police a line to say when they get to here, we gotta give them a process that goes to the zoning officer. And when it gets there, that he has to finish that report. Everybody agree with that?
I thought we kinda already did that.
Well, we've had properties that were to be referred from property maintenance with the police to zoning, and they seem to have died out. So I don't know if we gave them a smooth enough process that they can find it, because we have to, because what's gonna happen is simple. If the guy, if Mr. Jones complains about Mr. Smith's problem in his house, police stop by, take a look at it and say, well, I can do something, but only till this certain point. Then it has to go to the zoning officer.
Okay.
The police are gonna be the ones that, are gonna get that recall from Mr. Smith. So we gotta give them a path that, you know, residents know something will still get done or something.
Okay.
All right, so I understand. I guess when this comes into that point, we're gonna have to have the committee finish, have that in front of you as well. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and/or deliberation and/or official action on updating sewer rules and regulations. What are the wishes of council?
I'd like to hear some comments from the engineer.
I guess at the last meeting, we talked about the projects that we did, you know, in the borough, all right? And I think what you want to do is you want to implement this for homeowners. So typically, I think we all, I don't know, just to go over it real quick, what we did here, I can speak for what we did here on the line, right here when we did sewer separation. We have as much history as possible about the types of construction. We surveyed existing pipe, we located the laterals, we televised it, we cleaned the line, so we knew where all the tappings were going to be located. Then what we did is they basically, this was a pretty long stretch of pipe, 400 feet or so. It was a long stretch of pipe, and it was behind the homes over here on Atlanta, and up in the upper end. So what the contractor did is he fused these sections of pipe together. It was a pretty heavy duty pipe, all right? You know, very, very thick, close to the inch thick, because it has to be pretty solid to pull through the existing pipe and not break. So test pits were excavated on both ends of the project. And pneumatic pressure was used to kind of push it, pull it through the pipe. As it pulled it through, it was an old clay pipe, basically burst it. That's where I guess the expression bursting comes in. So it burst the old pipe, we pulled it through, we literally, this pipe, you have a sewer main that goes under a house up at the end of the stretch of pipe. And you could feel, we got in the guy's house because we were concerned about, is he gonna crack this floor? As it breaks this pipe, is the pressure of the ground when it breaks, is it gonna crack this floor? It did crack this floor. So, I mean, it was successful in that sense of the word. We pulled it through, we got it, the manholes at both ends of the run. Then we came back and excavated, we knew where the laterals were at, we had marked them on the ground. Came back, and we drilled holes into the new laterals into the pipe. And when it was done, we televised it. Some of the downside of it is there was a little bit of a belly in it, you know, and it was, you know, because it was an old line, it had settled. So one of the downsides of this is, you know, the belly there before it exists is when you go belly in it after you pipe burst, okay, you can't really straighten it out completely. But for the most part, it flowed pretty good. To my knowledge, I mean, the borough would know, Joe's here 24/7. You know, I'm not aware of any problems that we had. That was a good 10, 11 years ago, 2013. We did the sewer separation. So I think it was successful, and then as Joe said, I think the last meeting, we did a little bit of pipe bursting on our project up on Observatory Street. That was just a few years ago. The other project that we did this year was similar, but it wasn't pipe bursting, it was pipe lining. It was a similar type of pipe that got this would be on a downscale. You know, I got a publication from the EPA, they say you can do this from pipes as small as 4 inches, which would be similar to home lateral, and any one of us, that's basically what we have, 4 6-inch coming out of our homes. The older homes would have 4, our new ordinance calls for 6.
You know, the original,
We changed it.
yeah, most of the older ones have 6, we have it at 4. You just said it backwards.
Well, anyway, you could do 4, you could do 6, you could do up to 48 inch from what I'm reading. So, if,
Can I ask you a question about the one with the belly in it?
yeah,
Can you make a judgment call if you find that happens, that a pipe has enough head pressure that you're not concerned about it? Is that kind of what says, you got a belly in a pipe, don't worry about it?
It depends on, remember what I was talking about, it depends on, you know, how
it does a little.
big the belly is.
Yeah,
Because
because
the pipe bursting,
Yeah.
the pipe bursting even on bigger lines, it will take some of the belly out sometimes, but it's not gonna take it all out, but I think we're focusing too much on main lines, where this was meant to give the homeowner, the individual resident, additional options other than open cutting when they have to fix their individual.
but they may have that same situation.
They may have a belly, and depending on, you know, what the camera inspection shows, you may have to tell them that that might not be an option for you, the bursting or the lining because of the belly, because you're still gonna have the same issue you have now. But at least if the rules are updated, it gives them those additional options other than, open cutting.
I understand that, but if someone has a belly in a line, and the first outside feature they have in that line is a trap and a vent, the reality is it already goes through more curb than it does through a belly. That sewage coming out of the house, if it's hitting the trap, it's going like this before it goes back down the line. Later down the line, it goes like this. So, you know, my thoughts are, what's the problem with it? You know what I mean? Other than
With the belly?
that,
They're not
right,
having a problem.
you know what I mean? If it's not a problem, we have to, I think we have to watch what lines we draw to say that what are we gonna do with this if someone wants to do it? What are we gonna do if they cross under a driveway and we say they have to do it? Or, you know, where are we gonna cut off that it is just an option for people and we're not in a position to tell them which one to do or not do? If we start telling them to do a burst in a pipe, something goes wrong, trouble. So, I think we have to watch how far we push it.
I don't think we'd be telling them what to do, it's just an option. So
So-
here's the biggest thing. If you go to sell your house, you have to have a sewer line inspection. If there is a root in your line, right now you have to dig it up, cut it out and replace that line. For one root,
It's
basically.
not the entire line.
Right, just
You
that
have to
section.
repair with the light pipe.
Right, that section
Now
has to
plastic.
be done. This lining or bursting, like you could put the lining through there and maybe you don't have to dig up your line. So it's a more cost-effective option for the.
I agree with that. Listen, I do agree with that. If we are just giving the people, because we don't have in our sewage ordinance, their ability to pass an inspection by bursting. If that's all we're doing is saying, here is another option for you,
Yes.
and we limit ourselves to giving them an option, then I think we're pretty clean. As long as we have no intention today or down the line to come along and start putting regulations on top of that.
I know,
We have no intention to do that now. We're just giving them one more option and stepping away. So if they say, I'm gonna burst my pipe, our inspector from PT is gonna be able to say, Okay, let me see your camera screen. Yep,
Yeah, they're just,
done.
all they're gonna do is they'll do the inspection from PT, they send us the report, we communicate that information to the property owner. If they have any questions, they call us, and we answer their questions. Now, there could be an instance where we could tell them, you can, try to pipe first, if you change the rules, or line, or open cut, but if the belly is significant enough that either one of those methods is not going to sufficiently repair it, we'll have to tell them that as well, because if they have a blockage because of a belly, and it's significant enough, neither one of those will probably fix it.
Agree? I think if they're.
But they could have a belly now, and it's flowing sufficiently, and they get a camera inspection, and they'll note on the report that there's a small belly there, but it could pass the inspection.
Yeah. If it's a clean belly, you'll know. If it's not, it's a
Yeah.
half pipe now.
Right.
Because the belly's. Well, if we're not tying any regulations to it, I don't see a problem. Just give it an option.
Right.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the option to give, that it is a legal option for a property owner and manor to burst their pipe in lieu of digging.
So there's.
You want to add to the line? Burst again? line?
Yeah, they'll have the option to burst their pipe and install a liner.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
I will second it.
Okay. Comments?
Just a question, so there's various ways to burst towards the line. Are we gonna allow, or do we want the engineer to investigate some of those different options, whether it's bursting or lining, and then get back to you on what his recommendations are? Because there's different types of pipe lining,
There is, but I think
and some work better than others.
at a point, probably the person sitting at this table that knows the most about it is our engineer.
That's why I asked you that.
Right, between our engineer and our inspector, and maybe a plumber that comes to do the work, I think we need to let them make some decisions to make it legally correct. And we're just opening the door to say, look, plumber or inspector, in Manor Borough now, you can, because we didn't have the language before, you now can burst and line a pipe. And but it's legal in the state anyway, am I correct?
Yeah, you're permitted.
So we're gonna follow that legality, and they're right, they've already written all those regulations. I don't wanna add anything on top.
Yeah, we'll have to have the solicitor draft an addition to our current
Do
ordinance.
you have a dye test ordinance?
We do, we have a sewer lateral inspection ordinance, and
I represent four or five sewer.
it's rather lengthy. It was-
Each of our dye test resolutions puts the entire responsibility for the lateral line on the owner. And the owner has to pass a dye test that we inspect prior to reissuing an approval. So what a prudent thing would be is you approve the plans that place the responsibility on the owner to make sure that their lateral line is compliant with whatever that is. That standard is probably a plumbing standard that comes from, almost, DEP or state regulations. So they should have a full quiver of options, but ultimately they have to be responsible for doing whatever's necessary to fix the problem. And a lot of times, I'm not sure you know, I mean, I had the same problem when I sold my house. There were portions that had to be lined, there were portions that couldn't be repaired that way, and something else had to be done. But, I mean, those are engineering calls, but the responsibility should be on the owner to do whatever's necessary to make it comply. And we have resolutions in our office that are all inclusive, and certain Chelsea could access those and compare them to what you have, and give you a state of the art or up to current, contest resolution without much, effort.
So we would need the solicitor to draw the draft.
I would say, I don't
And
see.
then have Ed look at it to make sure, from the engineering
Yeah,
standpoint, nothing is missed.
For my
I
money,
don't
the
see,
way,
I don't see why a homeowner couldn't use whatever is the most effective and cost efficient option. But necessarily, they're gonna be responsible for making sure it works. Well, yeah, because you don't wanna get in a point where you're saying, this will work, then it doesn't, and the homeowner comes back, but you told me to do it.
Right. We will go back out after it fails, and inspect it again, and once they've completed whatever work they're doing, I mean, it could still fail for.
Could still fail,
whatever
it's a
reason.
problem.
Right.
But I mean, I think that's clear.
yeah, but once again, the way I try to word that motion is to basically say, we're giving them one more option, which is bursting and lining. And our solicitor will make sure the language is in there that they have to comply with what rules and regulations already in place are the ones they have to do. I don't think we want to get in here and try to micromanage something that between our engineer and a sewer licensed certified inspector makes a call. Am I correct, Mr. Solicitor? To kind of stay away from it and let those professionals do it?
Well, ultimately, you're going to get section 5 final inspection. You know, prove that it works. So, they should hire a registered plumber.
Yeah.
Or not. Registered plumber should give them the best option. And we want to do is make sure. Industry-wide options should be available.
Well, I think between our sewage inspector and a plumber, they should work that out to what Mr. Lapita said a little while ago, when the sewage officer comes in and says, it passed. And realistically, I just don't like to see us getting in a position where we got our hands too deep in things that we're already paying professionals to do, because if something goes wrong, we're in.
Well, I think we're okay with your motion is because the current ordinance, and I'll read this. It says, Borough Council is authorized to establish and promulgate from time to time by resolution rules and regulations to undertake and administer the provisions and requirements of this ordinance and the provisions of ordinance 532-1201, which is a prior ordinance. So it basically gives you that ability to, when this was written back in 2003.
I just don't think you want to put yourself in a box.
Chelsea's just gonna have to, come up with some stuff.
Okay. So,
Do I have to say the motion again?
I would absolutely love if you would.
Come on, I forgot that one. Okay, I'll make the motion that we authorize the solicitor to prepare the document needed to give residents of this borough the option to do pipe bursting and line.
We have a second. Yes. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. All right, discussion and or deliberation and or official action on the Manor Park restroom. What are the wishes of council?
So Chuck, you said, your guy wasn't able to go down there, or?
No, he was there. I'm waiting for some final numbers from him, but he was there, and, like I said at the last meeting, I see things differently about it. I think we can do, regardless of the numbers that come in, we can probably do 80% of that work in-house. The other 20% can be done. One thing I'm very disappointed in, really, this trip was not this one before, was the one in the parks that saw that work got started. I don't know why we we still have concrete in front of the restrooms. It's all broken up. It's been broken up for years. When we poured asphalt to it, I don't know why we didn't take that concrete out and put that asphalt in. Because I don't know how we're now gonna pour a pad that big and what materials, with what vehicles driving where on the new grass or on the asphalt. So we missed something there in that project. And now we have that concrete there, that the only way that it's gonna at least get out of there without tearing the park up again is the maintenance guys and jackhammers. Where while we had the bigger equipment, we could have ripped those stones that blocks out of there of concrete. It'll leave you enough of an area, put some, stone in it for the asphalt that was put up to it. So, I don't know how you wanna resolve that, but, I'm not looking at that, but I know, I'm telling you, it needs to be done. So, I mean, I'm not concentrating on it now, but at some point, you know, you're aware of what I'm talking about?
So I know exactly.
All right,
That was
so-
part of my evaluation.
If you wanna advise us on what you think should be done, because again, the new problem is not all the grass has been planted, and you're not gonna drive trucks on those, asphalt walkways. So we gotta figure out when the ground is solid enough, but soft enough to work. That needs done, but, we have an existing building. It's been there for, I don't even know how long. I've been here over 30 years, and I don't remember not seeing it.
The picture hanging up in the hall was there in the early 50s.
Early 50s. So, the wall that is, as you walk in the current bathroom, you walk straight ahead, you walk into a block wall. That block wall does not do anything except, it's a partition wall. It's not even tied to the joists above, you can stick your hand all the way through. So I think someone came along whenever that was done and said, let's put a block wall in here so that if anybody beats it up, or hurt themselves, and what they will the wall. So that simply can come out of there. With plumbing being moved, and a back wall that runs from inside the storage room. Wall that runs all the way up from one side to the other. A door on the inside of the storage room is where the hot water tank is. All the appliances for the bathrooms can be right there. Needs a new hot water tank. While you're at it, all the plumbing has to go in, so take the copper out, put plastic everywhere. We need an indoor shut off. Shut that water off in the wintertime, or while we're doing it, it might be wise just to insulate everything. The only problem you have is the use in the bathroom. You gotta keep the bathroom heated all winter. So those are something we'll deal with as we get further down the line on planning of it. But the goal is simple: cut out where the window is, that service window, put a door in there, handicap width, put one on the other side, again, same way. Get inside, and then you're gonna have in there is handicap accessible toilets on both sides, and 6. That's it, done. Either one is, you can label them if you want, a men's room and a ladies' room. You can leave them both as, they both should be identical anyway. And it's not that difficult. I'm not preparing on the idea to get into new construction standards on an existing building. If you look at the reality of that footprint of that building since now the 50s, we're not changing that footprint. It's staying exactly the same way. The only potential issue we could have in flooding is if we allow water to go down in the sewage lines in the floor, but we're not hurting the flood. And I surely would discuss it with DEP. I don't wanna go to some kind of standard that's gonna cost $50,000 for doors. Because for $50,000, we can build those bathrooms out. Is that easy? So my mindset is to get that one back We already have the structure. I don't know how we even got approval. Did we got approval to put that pavilion in? With flooding? Because their structure's on the ground. There's 4 poles. Anything can get stuck between 2 posts, cause damage. So if they approve that down there where that pavilion is, and this is an existing building, we're not gonna do anything. So I'm not gonna put $100,000 to 2 doors. Just so you know, that's the direction I'm going with it. I'm gonna make it affordable, nice, clean, and last another 50 years. But I don't believe in gold painting something that doesn't make sense to do. Make it very nice, usable bathrooms done. Epoxy paint when needed.
Well,
So
my
that's where that
concern-
bathroom is.
My concern with it is we still have to follow the floodplain. So as far as construction
What
goes.
are we doing? We're not doing the construction. What are we
It
doing?
has to be,
No, if you tell Ed to tell you what you have to do in a floodplain, he's gonna tell you, and that's his job. But you can't put him in a position to tell you that an
We have a
existing
floodplain
building
ordinance.
must be remodeled to that standard.
well,
That's just
I'm
trouble.
on a different side as you. Now, I'd like to see your option. We haven't seen an option yet on it. You know, so whenever the contractor comes back, I'd like to have.
Okay, but
more
let
than
me
one
explain
option.
something.
Hold on, Chad, it's my turn. I mean, I'm just saying, I'd like to make a motion to have the solicitor, or the engineer, find an alternative spot if we put a second one in. So that when, maybe next meeting, we have your option and another option,
Going with that, eh?
and we can decide.
Look, if you wanna go out and spend the money and build a whole new one and demo that thing, that's your option.
We're not gonna demo it.
But remember this too. It's only been a few months I've been on this property committee. And I will tell you, I'm doing it myself. So, and I'm willing to do all this, but it has to be understood that as anybody else has to do, you have other people to rely on to get out to do things. I have to work sometime in their schedule too. I'm not gonna be able to just, I can't call people I know and send them in there and tell them, tear that building apart and get this done. Can't do that.
Right.
We gotta go through a government process.
Right.
So the government process is slower, but I'm bringing something together that hasn't been touched. You said it was built in the 50s?
I don't know when it was built, I still have a picture hanging up.
Okay, if it's been around in the 50s, there hasn't been squat spent on it until recently, last year. And that wasn't but a lick and a promise to see how bad it really was.
Okay.
So, you know, I don't wanna, let me put it this way. You wanna know about it, where I am with it? Pick up the phone. Send me an email. I'll be more than glad to fill you in. But if you wanna keep putting it on the agenda, then you deal with the adding the new building while I try to satisfy what the people already have in an asset. If you wanna build another, you take that on. You go ahead and do whatever you want with it. I'm not gonna tell you not to do that. I'm working on that. And I'm close to having that close enough to deal with another one. But I can't do them both at the same time.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second to Jim's motion? Does anybody need to hear the motion again?
Yes.
I would like to have the engineer find a spot and give us a estimate of what it would be to do the pad and the sewer lines, and if it's feasible. Because obviously we know how much it costs for the building itself. And I'd like to have that done.
All right, I'll second it.
Okay, so is there any further comments or questions?
Are the restrooms currently in operation?
Yes,
So there's running water and it's usable, everything's stocked up?
it's just not ADA.
Okay, so when the residents start asking about, when we use the park, can we use the restrooms, I can tell them they should use the restrooms.
Correct.
Catch.
Any further comments or questions?
I just have one question, is that, you know, I agree with this motion to do that. But down the line, I I don't see $150,000 voucher.
And that may be the case, Chuck, let's find out. I mean, your guy may come back and say it's $150,000, that we do that.
Then I'll bounce him out and get somebody else.
Well, then.
Because the
we'll have
reality
options.
is, I'm gonna come back to you maybe in the next meeting, let's hope it's that soon. And because again, like he just asked, it's working. We're not without a bathroom now.
Right.
So,
And that bathroom, if we do the second one, that bathroom is going to remain there. It's not going to get demolished. It is going to remain a bathroom. We would have an additional bathroom up by that handicap parking is where we talked. So that bathroom would stay. It's not gonna get demolished. It's not going to go anywhere.
well, 2 meetings ago, I have notes that show that I asked for that, where the lines are. And realistically, my understanding was, there is no sewer lines up there. There's no sewage lines except what's at the old building.
No,
I think in the first work session that you were not,
It runs through the park.
yeah,
Where?
It comes across the stream from the parking lot. It's actually a MAWC line now, a little Enfield Township line. Comes through the parking lot across the stream, down along the stream.
Yeah, it's in the stream. No, I'm talking about in the park. Is there a line in there, or are we talking about
No,
the line that runs in the
The
creek?
current bathroom ties into that line that runs along the edge of the stream.
The current bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's talking about up by the new handicap parking.
Right.
There's nothing up there. The closest line is the one in the creek, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, to my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
That's where the sewer line down.
Okay. All right, any further comments or questions?
The question.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Uh-uh.
The motion carries.
No. No.
New business, discussion and or deliberation and or official action on adopting ordinance 600-24-02, restrictive license agreements for tax parcel IDs 19-01-11-0-146, 19-01-11-0-145, 19-0-11-0-144, and 19-0-11-0-143. What are the wishes of council?
They get a motion to pass the resolution or?
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any comments or questions?
I just have one, private solicitor. I'm a little confused about the parcel ID numbers. As, the President just read off the 4 parcel ID numbers. The resolution shows 1 parcel ID number ending in 169.
No.
The first page, first line, approving 4 restricted license agreement, ordinance number 600-24-02. The very first paragraph next to the last line,
That's-
far right. There is a parcel number. This is land having owned by 4 names.
No.
And 1 parcel ID number.
No, that's not correct, Chuck, you're misreading that. It's these residents requested use of land owned by Manor Borough known as parcel ID 1901110.
So that's our parcel.
Gotcha.
That's
The
our-
resolution is approving the agreements for,
On
with their
that.
parcel numbers to use
Yep.
the land on our parcel number.
Perfect, got it, thank you.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? Sorry.
Mr. Gockel?
We need to roll call this. Yes.
Mr. Gockel?
Yes.
Mr. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Dornan?
Yes.
Mr. Gonger is absent. Mr. Nemitz?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
Okay. Discussion and or deliberation and or official action on resolution 2024-07, appointing H. Daniel McCracken to the Recreation Board. What are the wishes of council?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is there any comments or questions? We have the roll call that, right?
Yeah, Mr. Gockel?
Yes.
Ms. Lynn is absent. Mr. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Dornan?
Yes.
Mr. Gongwer? Sorry, he's absent. Mr. Nemitz?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Discussion and or deliberation and or official action on resolution 2024-08, appointing Pamela J. McCracken to the Recreation Board. What are the wishes of council?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Any comments or questions? Roll call?
Mr. Gockel?
Yes.
Is absent. Mr. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Dornan?
Yes.
Mr. Gongwer is absent. Mr. Nemitz?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Resolution carries by unanimously.
Discussion and or deliberation and or official action on resolution 2024-09, appointing Heather Gockel to the Civil Service Commission. What are the wishes of council?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Roll call?
Mr. Gockel?
Abstain.
Ms. Lynn is absent. Mr. Cherry?
Abstain. No. Yes.
Mr. Dornan?
Yes.
Mr. Gongwer is absent. Mr. Nemitz?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, 4 yeses, 1 abstention.
Two.
One.
You changed it.
No,
Chair changed it.
Yes.
No, sorry. Mistake.
Discussion and or deliberation and or official action on payment request from D&M Contracting Incorporated. What are the wishes of council?
I make the motion to make that payment with a condition. Condition that even with our approval, payment be held until such time as Mr. Antonacci signs off that the work has been completed.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Discussion and or deliberation and or official action placing the 2008 GMC dump truck for sale on municipal bid.
So originally, we were told they were gonna start putting the body on the new truck this week, but they had an additional delay in getting the hydraulic components, which I'm told it should be in next week sometime, and then they're gonna start working on it. So we should have our truck done, hopefully before the next meeting. So I'm just asking for your approval. Once the new truck is done and delivered, we can advertise the 2008 GMC for sale on the municipal.
What are the wishes of council?
Make a motion, we, put the 2008 GMC dump up for sale on municipal bid.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
It was actually a tie.
Jim says. First.
Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Okay.
2008 GMC dump, what's the value?
The last one I saw go off on municipal bid, I think it was a 2009, plus I could get one for somewhere around 22,000.
How's the condition of this one?
It's about the same condition as the other one, except the other one was a diesel and this is a gas engine. I mean, that could actually benefit us, I just don't know.
What about, with the fleet that you have now? What I don't wanna do is buy another $100,000 truck sooner than we have to, if this truck really should stick around. Or is it the position that's gonna cost you more to keep?
It's definitely gonna cost us more to keep, and the biggest issue with this truck is, in the last year or two, since we bought the Ram 5500, we've had to put some money in here. several $1,000s, but the problem is, there's no longer the availability for parts. So, I mean, it's getting very difficult to find parts, even like, we had a mirror break, an outside mirror, and we had one heck of a time trying to find one to get fixed to be able to pass inspection. So I think it makes sense, just from that standpoint, to let it go, plus it's 16 years old.
How many miles on it?
Say somewhere between 55 and 60 maybe. But they're working.
And someone's willing to spend $22,000 knowing they're gonna be chasing parts.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised. Somebody's not working it as hard, not using it, you know, as often, it's a way cheaper alternative as opposed to buying a new one.
Let me ask you, I know this is not something I want you to throw off the top of your head, but when you get a chance and you're sitting at the desk, I don't know if you look at equipment in the maintenance department, if you're holding out a specific amount of money every year on the anticipation that we are gonna be replacing all this, are we doing that now? Because in the last 5 years, let's say, we bought loaders, and we've bought dump trucks, and now we're bought another one, and when we look at the longevity of that equipment, do we know going forward next year, the year after that, we should anticipate certain vehicles needing replaced?
So we put aside every month a certain amount of money for future purchase of a police car and a dump truck.
Okay, seen that in the budget.
And, so the oldest truck we have is I believe the Freightliner is an 18 or 19. It gets used, bigger work, bigger jobs, and, you know, when we have a bigger snow event, we have 3 guys in plowing and sawing, it gets used, and it is helpful. We have a 21 Ram, and this one's will be a 24 Ford. So we should be okay for quite a few years before something's gonna need replaced, you know, barring some unforeseen circumstance that, you know, we can't, you know, anticipate.
Now you have Public Works truck has 44,000.
Correct, and most of that will go, you know, most of that plus the sale's gonna go towards the body outfit, so.
Dump that,
Yeah.
sell that truck in, let's say another 20,000.
Yeah.
We should be close to 65,000.
Yeah.
And each year you're gonna load whatever you need to make sure. It seems like everything that maintenance department needs anymore has a 1 in front of it.
Indeed.
10.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so we need to keep that built up.
But, I
accordingly.
mean, we generally keep, the trucks 10 years or longer.
All right. I need nothing.
Okay, any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Discussion and a deliberation and or official action on request from the Manor Library for free use of the community room on October 6, 2024. What are the wishes of council?
I will make that motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? I'll take care of the cleaning fee. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
We'll leave it on this agreement.
Okay.
Maybe you got one with social security deposit. That's standard practice.
Is it? Then yes. Any correspondence?
No, sir.
I need an approval to pay the bills. Don't all jump at once.
Good.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Is there a need for executive session?
Yes.
I need a motion.
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? That was only one person. Opposed? Motion carries.
House is the red from the sky.
Good.
We'll go with streets and manor.
Who?
Jerry.
Get who?
Go get Jerry.
Oh.
We got it.
At least somebody, at least somebody would.
I need a motion. Return.
President will make a motion to return to executive session.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. We are in executive session for personnel matters and potential litigation. Bonnie Dawson?
Do you mind if I talk over here so Patty can hear?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You good? Bonnie Dawson, 341 Row Road, Harrison City. Couple of things. I would like to thank the Manor Police for sending out the Nixle alert this past Monday, alerting people to avoid Row Road for the week due to paving. I received the alert Monday morning at 9:54 a.m. for a closure that started at approximately 7 a.m. The alert was the final official communication the Manor residents received. No communication was made to ensure everyone knew to have their garbage out by 4 or 5 a.m. and before. And yes, I know that residents are to have their garbage out the night before, but it also specifies that if not by 6 a.m. So on my way to the meeting tonight, I saw 3 missed pickups, so for people that didn't know. This morning, like how many people knew to leave for work early this morning before they were stuck at home? At a previous meeting, I had asked about the communication for the project, and I was assured that the contractor would let everyone know when the road was going to be completely shut down. I'm still waiting for that. In a letter from the borough, April 1st, at the bottom, it says there will also be times when access is denied completely to paving operations. When this occurs, you will be notified that there will be no vehicle access after 6 a.m. The contractor will notify residents when there will be no access. That didn't happen. In the letter from Dairy Construction that they put in our mailboxes, they list the dates, hours from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will have flaggers to help with direction and expect delays. They didn't.
They had flaggers at both ends of the project site.
But what about the middle, where there's people live? So like we would go up and we'd have to turn around and go back down, or go down and turn around in not a very wide area and head back up. We then did have flaggers who sat in their truck. So I'm not sure what was going on there. Tony, I gave you a copy of this. This is from the neighborhood Facebook group. I redacted everybody's names. I may have missed a few, but it's a private group, so I don't feel like I should be putting their stuff out there. Some funny things to note. Just spoke with the owner of Dairy Construction. He was putting flyers in our mailboxes. He assured me that we would be able to get out of our roads, Crimson and Sunset, without major issues. There may be a brief 10 to 15 minute wait if they have just paved the intersection, his words. I thanked him. I don't understand why they think it's okay to close the road and not have someone directing traffic. They're only working on one side of the road at a time, so there's no reason for them to try to close the road. Please know I spoke with the company owner last week and he was told to close the road down by the borough. The owner is being kind enough not to do that. He said that he didn't think that would be necessary. I personally give him credit for having common sense.
Bonnie? I apologize, the 3 minutes is up.
You can ask for more.
Thank you.
Yeah, public hearing.
Jerry Lewis?
Yes, sir? Am I recognized?
Yes, Jerry.
Thank you. Number one, I'm going to expand on what Councilman Cherry said. You screwed up at the playground. When they were laying the concrete for the pavilion, you should have taken care of the concrete pad at the bathroom. That concrete pad is bad. Somebody's gonna get hurt. Some little kid's gonna run over there, and they're gonna trip, and then you're gonna be responsible. Number two, you tear down a pavilion, now you wanna put an ADA bathroom on a hillside? That's not feasible. You cannot put an ADA restroom on a hillside. Because you will have to have outdoor stair lifts or a vertical platform lift because of the slope of the ground. Fix the bathroom properly, like it should be down there. Go up there, give those people a decent bathroom, then come down here. Because all you do is talk, 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 talk. Don't see anything. I want to see something. Number three, this bid for the audio system won't work. It's not gonna work. You don't put speakers in a ceiling. Do you know what sound waves are and how sound waves are distributed in a room, especially this one where the acoustics are wrong? So you're gonna, and you don't allow anybody to say anything. Nothing. And it's about time that you start caring about what we have to say. Because otherwise, it's gonna be done another way, where you will have to care, and you've already got a taste of it. So I object to the audio system.
Mr. Gordon, can I comment?
Yes.
Jerry, it's unlocked properties now. I'm going to be looking at this sound system. And this noisemaker behind me. We brought him up at the previous meeting. And I'm looking to satisfy ADA, I'm not looking to put a theater system in here. Do you agree with that?
I agree, sir. There are alternatives, but we're not allowed to speak about alternatives.
Well,
So then you have to,
I will keep you in the loop.
because
If you'll work with me
Yes,
through that
sir.
process,
Yes, sir.
and we'll get this resolved and move forward soon.
Yes,
You agree?
I agree, sir.
Somebody put
Yes,
that
I
right
do.
away. Write that up.
And I already got it on camera.
There you
It's
go.
already taped.
All right. Thank you
Because
very
it
much.
should have been done in the first place, because you're absolutely right.
So, does anybody
About
have any
stuff.
further comments for Bonnie? About what she had? No. For Bonnie. Anybody for council?
I just have a question. How far are they tonight? Ed was saying something about, he thought while we were sitting here, they might have about finished. How did you get out tonight?
Came down towards 993. I don't know how far they got up.
They're finished.
They're
Okay.
finished. Are they paving? Because I thought at one point I heard, maybe that's from the lower part of it, about stone and chip. Are they actually
No,
paving?
They originally were gonna try to do it one lane, the
Yeah.
whole way, and then come back the other, but there's a section in between that doesn't contain. But because of the Crimson Point plan, they decided to, do all the leveling and the top today and get it all done and finished. So that wouldn't inconvenience those residents anymore.
So they didn't do one lane?
They just did the section from the township line down to the bottom of the hill where you.
Both sides at the
To the
same
old
time.
garage
it's just the lack of, if, Ed's not here anymore, but yesterday I had stopped to say hi as we were driving past to Ed and spoke with Ed and the foreman, and they're the ones that said that the road was gonna be shut down completely today. The foreman thought it wasn't gonna start until around 9. It actually started at 8, and then you can ask Ed.
I mean, I was up there
You
around
weren't-
8:30, and they still were letting a couple of cars through.
All I know is what I read.
I'm sorry, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, but the fact was, the road was completely shut down, and none of us knew that it was gonna be completely shut down, starting at 8. I know with the weather, we weren't sure what time it was gonna be reopened, because everything needed to be cooled down, but it didn't get reopened until about 5:30. And then, like, the garbage, nobody knew that.
Well, the garbage though, I will say this, you all got letters from Noble Environmental when they took over the contract, said your garbage is supposed to be out by 6 a.m.
Right.
Because of the paving, I got in touch with them and said, can you please come through there first so people's garbage get picked up and they don't have to keep it. So they came through first thing in the morning. So
Yeah.
if somebody doesn't have their garbage out by 6 a.m., that's on them.
But they came through at like 4:30 or 5.
It doesn't matter. The letter says you need to have it out by 6 a.m. because they change their drivers don't have a set schedule. They come out and do it, and they may pack a truck because there's way more garbage on Manor Harrison City Road, so they gotta run all the way to Bell Vernon to the landfill and back. So those times aren't gonna be consistent. That's why they tell you to have them out by 6 a.m.
Right, but what you're saying is they were supposed to be out by 6 a.m. even though it got picked up at 4:30 or 5.
So we know.
But
for
it's
sure
their fault.
It got picked up at 4:30 or 5 today?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they came back through because I know they went through early this morning.
She's saying 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 4:30 a.m.
a.m.
And you're arguing with me that it had to be out by 6, and those
Correct.
people should have known, but how would they have it out by 6 if the trash got picked up at 4:30?
Well, I wasn't aware of that because they're not supposed to start before 6.
So that's something we could.
Just, there was such a breakdown in communication. People were stuck inside their homes all day or not able to get home.
So
all
we'll have
day.
to have a better job of having our contractors communicate.
You know what we could do?
Guys.
You know what we could do? She's on the planning commission. She handles herself extremely well there. Why don't we ask her if she'll take this example and say, okay, what would you have done different to educate the residents of what was going on there that didn't happen this time? See what she comes up with. And then just take a look at it and see, is it something that we can initiate saying, if you're gonna work in this borough, here's this list of how you reach our
There's
residents.
almost no way to pinpoint, like, when you're paving exactly.
No, I mean, she could come up with
Because there's
something
delays
that
with the
says.
asphalt.
Everyone
you gotta put a
understands
sign out
that.
10 days
Believe
before it
me,
starts
everyone
at the end of
understands that.
construction, or,
And I
you know,
really think our neighborhood
some
came
way
together
to-
for the contractors. Like, they took them out water, they took them out ice pops. Everybody was supportive of it. It was the lack of communication.
Nobody knew.
That's a municipal authority though,
Yeah.
that we have no control over that.
What?
Like a gas company or a water company,
No, they
they
do.
run on their own thing. So, but this is one that we
Would you
can
do that?
say.
Give us a list.
Do an
that
ad
says
hoc?
What communication changes would make it better for residents to know we're about to tear up the streets? Like posting
Sure.
signs 10 days before,
Sure.
or whatever you think is best, because you've lived through it now. So since you have, you're real good at saying, if we would have known. And tell us what that is, and maybe in the future, every time we touch a road, we may look back at that and say, that's a good idea, let's just do that.
Like, I think a lot of the contractors were getting very irritated at the residents, but that was because that was the only way anybody was getting information. Because they were constantly being stopped saying, hey, when can I do this? Or what's happening tomorrow? Or like,
Yeah.
if you read that, you'll see, like, I called Joe, I talked to Ed, I talked to the foreman, I talked to so-and-so, and everything.
You said you called me?
No, in the Facebook, the comments, residents were saying, I spoke with.
I had 2 calls.
Okay, That's fine. I'm just saying what people were saying.
Okay.
I don't want
Well,
phone
that's
records.
accurate.
No, she's staying on Facebook, somebody said they contacted.
I'll take a
not
look.
her, yeah.
And we can
Even
have
if you do the
conversation.
10% rule, that only 10% of it is true, there's still an awful lot of miscommunication. That's all.
We'll take a better look at it. We gotta have a better conversation with our contractors to make the residents aware of what's going on.
We do more than this.
Well, then maybe we need to do a little bit more.
And actually, you could feed that right to Terry for public safety.
So,
Just gave you a job.
all right, I need a motion to adjourn. I need a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
New lawsuit. Good job. Just got a new lawyer.
Yeah. Like my dad, he has a doctor's appointment tomorrow, but because of everything being such a cluster, he called me to try to reschedule because he doesn't trust that we'll be able to get out.
Oh. Good evening. The contractors are real good.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like, and I know we're not the only family. So,
When they did our street, my neighbors called me up and says, there's 4 pieces of equipment on your property. Didn't even ask me, but I got money off of it.
I want to kind of team up with the library and try to
Playing games.
I don't know, do something like that. I think that would be really cool. So,
They're supposed